Ahead of their Alaska meeting, U.S. President Donald Trump is reportedly ready to offer Putin several economic incentives to end the war in Ukraine.
At least 3 people have died in the U.S. state of Tennessee after heavy rain and flash flooding.
As U.S. President Donald Trump prepares to meet his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in Alaska, he is reportedly ready to present a proposal that includes several economic concessions to Russia in exchange for ending the war against Ukraine. Among the incentives would be access to Alaska's natural resources, as well as Ukraine's rare earth minerals, the Telegraph reported. In Kyiv, many Ukrainians were skeptical the summit will bring the war on Ukraine to an end.
Тому що було вже достатньо зустрічей, перемовин, які обіцяли нам, простим людям, що щось вирішиться, що буде щось найкраще, війна закінчиться. Але, на жаль, цього не трапилось. Тому особисто я не вірю, що буде щось, якісь зміни.
Many Moscow residents were more hopeful.
От встречи я ожидаю мира. Я хочу, чтобы наконец прекратились войны, которые одолевают нашу планету в разных концах. Это неправильно, так не должно быть. Люди, они для чего? Они созданы были для того, чтобы жить в мире, а не для того, чтобы воевать.
Prior to Trump announcing the meeting with Putin, his efforts to pressure Russia into stopping the fighting had delivered no progress. Trump consulted with European leaders on Wednesday, who said the president assured them he would make a priority of trying to achieve a ceasefire when he speaks with Putin on Friday.
Ahead of a historic meeting between US President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, a virtual summit took place with Trump, Ukrainian and European leaders. Following the summit, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said the top priority for the meeting was a ceasefire, something he says Trump agreed with.
Я сказав президенту Сполучених Штатів Америки і всім нашим європейським колегам: Путін блефує. Він старається натиснути перед зустрічю на Алясці, на всіх напрямках українського фронту. Росія намагається зобразити, що спроможна окупувати всю Україну. Безумовно, це їх бажання.
According to German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, European leaders were jointly trying to steer the Alaska meeting between Trump and Putin in the right direction.
In Alaska müssen grundlegende europäische und ukrainische Sicherheitsinteressen gewahrt bleiben. Das war die Botschaft, die wir heute als Europäerinnen und Europäer dem amerikanischen Präsidenten Trump mit auf den Weg gegeben haben. Und ich kann sagen, wir waren uns sowohl in der Bewertung der Ausgangslage als auch in dem erreichbaren Ziel.
Trump described the upcoming Alaska talks as setting the table for a second meeting which would include both Putin and Zelensky.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be? Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes. That will go rapidly.
When asked what the format of a second meeting would be, Trump suggested it would either be bilateral or trilateral, depending on whether Zelensky and Putin wanted the US president there.
I think we'll actually get Democrat support.
The European Commission signed an agreement to safeguard Ukraine's energy security ahead of winter. The deal would mobilize 500 million euros to Ukraine's energy sector, and its state-owned oil and gas company Naftogaz would use the money to finance emergency gas purchases. The agreement aims to restore energy sources ahead of the autumn and winter months. The decision comes as Russia has recently intensified its attacks on energy infrastructure, causing storage reserves to drop significantly. Naftogaz said the deal is a strong indicator that its partners understand the scale of the threat posed by Russia. They reassured they would source natural gas competitively and that its contracts would meet European standards. Ukraine's Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko applauded the deal and called it a record-breaking agreement for the country. Israel's military has approved plans for an expanded operation in the Gaza Strip. As part of the plan approved by Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir, Israeli soldiers would move into areas where Israel believes Hamas is holding the remaining living hostages. No other details about the plan or a timeline have been released, but it comes just days after Israel's Security Cabinet approved plans for the takeover of Gaza City. The plan, however, has exposed a rift between the military and the government. Zamir previously warned that the plan could endanger the lives of the hostages and further stretch the military. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded via a post on X, saying that if he objected to the plans, he could resign. The statement comes as global outrage has been growing over the continuously rising civilian death toll in Gaza. In the latest of almost daily such incidents, local health officials reported that on Wednesday, dozens of Palestinians seeking aid were again killed by Israeli gunfire.
Israel and Kurdish fighters should stop threatening the security and stability of Syria, according to the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. Speaking at a news conference in Ankara, Fidan accused Israel and the Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces of undermining the country's efforts to re-establish itself after more than a decade of civil war.
İsrail halkına tavsiyemiz, sizin güvenliğiniz komşunuz olan ülkelerin zayıflığından, kaos içerisinden bulunmasından geçmiyor. Bu ülkelerin tam tersine müreffeh, istikrarlı bir durum içerisinde bulunmasından geçiyor.
Since insurgents ousted former President Bashar al-Assad in a rebel offensive in December, the interim government in Damascus has struggled to maintain stability. Attempts to merge the US-backed Kurdish forces with the new Syrian army have stalled, and there has been scattered outbreaks of violence between the two sides.
At least 3 people from the same family were among those killed during heavy rain and flooding in the U.S. state of Tennessee, as submerged roads caused chaos and led to dramatic rescues of people trapped in their cars. The 3, a mother, father, and child, were killed when saturated ground caused a large tree to fall on their car in Eastridge just after midnight, emergency officials said. Authorities said they found another body on Wednesday while searching for a man who was swept away when he ran past firefighters and a barricade blocking a flooded road on Tuesday. This summer, severe thunderstorms are bringing heavy rainfall and flash flooding across parts of the U.S., grounding flights and forcing emergency rescues. By the end of last month, the U.S. National Weather Service had already issued more than 3,600 flash flood warnings nationwide, nearly equal to its annual average.
The Stop Destroying Video Games petition has reached over 1.4 million signatures across the European Union. If validated, the European Commission will have to examine the initiative and decide whether or not to present a proposal to the European Parliament aimed at preventing video game distributors from blocking their titles.
So it is a form of kind of planned obsolescence. Many games, I can send you a list, there are about 1,000 of them that we just researched a couple of months ago, where they have an online component. And that online component, when it gets turned off, by the publisher, not editor, but the publisher of the video game, that game is unplayable.
Those who began the petition gave the example of the online racing game The Crew, launched in 2014 by the French company Ubisoft, which has not been accessible since 2024. They denounce a growing practice that, in their view, undermines consumer protection and destroys cultural heritage.
All we are asking is, when the game is turned off, so that it has an end-of-life plan. So it remains reasonably playable. We don't expect it to be completely playable with all the bells and whistles, just that the core of the game is still playable for a person who legally bought it.
Video Games Europe, the lobbyist for the video games industry, said in a statement published in July that shutting down an online game must be an option for companies when it is no longer commercially viable. They added that private servers are not an alternative, as there would be no data protection, no removal of illegal content, and no fight against dangerous content. They also assert that this would increase the cost of creating video games.
The River Spree, which runs through Germany's capital of Berlin, is known for its canals full of tourists on boats. But others want it to now be opened up to the general public for swimming in. An organisation called Flussbad Berlin, or the River Bath Berlin, wants Berlin's waterways opened up to swimmers and people who would like to take a dip in the water. They feel that the 100-year ban on inner-city swimming is outdated. Flussbad Berlin have been campaigning to overturn the ban for nearly 10 years and say local authorities are slow in moving forward with their demands.
Also ich verfolge das, das ist ja eine Frage seit Jahrzehnten und andere Länder, Städte haben das auch geschafft, in Basel, in Paris, ich würde sagen Berlin, let's go, get it done.
The city has raised safety and pollution issues.
Wir sind heute hier, weil wir gegen das pauschale Badeverbot in innerstädtischen Berlin demonstrieren. Und wir sind der Meinung, das muss fallen, es ist obsolet, es ist überfällig und es ist wahrscheinlich nicht mal mehr legal, hier das Baden zu verbieten.
The campaign group says it has checked Berlin's water quality for swimming.
Erstens ist es ein Grundrecht der Menschen, baden zu gehen. Das klingt komisch, aber wir alle sollen baden dürfen. Das Zweite ist, wir haben Klimaveränderungen und wir brauchen das Gewässer wie hier, um uns abkühlen zu können. Es ist quasi eine klimapolitische Sofortmaßnahme, die sehr leicht umzusetzen ist.
Freiheit! Ja. Wir wünschen Berlin Freiheit in Bezug auf Schwimmen.
According to organisers and the police, over 1,000 people demonstrated in central Berlin and over 700 people went swimming in the Spree River.